Our body from the neck down is 75% water, from the neck up 85% water. Water. One of the first questions I ask people when they come to me for help with their health is, how much water do you drink? Here are some of the answers. Oh, I don't like water. Another answer is not much. Another answer is, I don't drink water, or I'm visiting the little house all day. Another answer is, if I drink too much water, my legs swell. These last two answers tell me that the water is not getting inside the cell. You know, there's been some deaths on the Kokoda Trail, and these people are drinking 5 litres of water a day. They're perspiring huge amounts. So the water's going in and the water's coming out, but it's not coming out as water. Library, we also sell this book, and it's called One of the Body's Many Cries for Water. And the whole book is on water. It would probably be one of the most interesting books that I have ever read. Dr. Batman Gehaldi, we'll call him Dr. B, because it's a difficult name. He goes into every single organ, every single part of the body, and how it is affected by full hydration and how it is affected by dehydration. There are 2 other titles to his book. Well, the first title is One of the Body's Many Cries for Water. The other title is He's Not Sick, He's Thirsty. Another title is Don't Treat Thirst with Medications. He was a political prisoner in India. I think it was early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And in the hospital there were a lot of sick people, and he only had one thing that he could use, and that was water. So no matter what the problem was, he'd give them a glass of water. 15 minutes later, he'd give them another glass of water. 15 minutes later, he'd give them another glass of water. He only did it because that's all he had. But he noticed as the days and the weeks went by, people were recovering. People with constipation were no longer constipated. People with stomach ulcers were no longer suffering from stomach ulcers. You see, the lining of the stomach has a thick mucosal wall on it, and mucus is 99% water. And he shows in dehydration, it's one of the first places that we lose water, is the stomach. Inside that mucosal lining, there's sodium bicarbonate, designed to neutralise stomach acid if it tries to come through. Well, in this tiny little layer here, there's no sodium bicarbonate. So very easy for the hydrochloric acid to start eating little holes in the lining of the stomach. He claims at the writing of his book to have healed 3,000 cases of stomach ulcer with water alone. He shows that a glass of water half an hour before a meal thickens that mucosal wall. Our hydrochloric acid is made from water. Today is Wednesday. Yesterday, Tuesday, I needed to drink 2 glasses of water so my liver could make enough hydrochloric acid for breakfast this morning. Yesterday, I needed to drink 2 glasses of water, another 2, so my liver could make enough hydrochloric acid for lunch today. And if a person eats 3 meals, that's 6 glasses of water the day before just to make the digestive juices. Wow, that's only digestion. That's not even mentioning all the other body parts. You see, our water loss in a day, I looked at this a little earlier, so I'll recap it. Out of the kidneys, our water loss in a day is approximately 1.5 litres. Via our skin, it is approximately 0.5 of a litre. Out of our colon, it is approximately 0.3 of a litre. If someone has diarrhea and are diarrheaing a lot, it could come up to 0.5, even 1 litre. And out of our lungs, for every exhalation there is moisture, 0.2 of a litre. So that's a 2.5 litre loss every day. And have you noticed we've got no reserve tank on the back? The only water that goes in is the water we put in. And that's what Dr. B's book is all on. He says one of the first places it's felt is the stomach. Another, of course, is digestion. When we don't have enough water to make the digestive juices, which are the enzymes that break our food down. He also showed that in the pancreas, it is affected by dehydration. Let me show you. In the pancreas, it releases it releases 4 digestive enzymes in the gut. So we'll put gastrointestinal tract. In the pancreas, pancreatic lipase is released, and it does the final breakdown of fat. Pancreatic amylase does the final breakdown on starch. And trypsin, I'll just do a trip here, it does the breakdown of protein. And chymotrypsin, it also does the breakdown of protein. So this is 4 enzymes released from the pancreas that finalise digestion. Most people don't realise that the pancreas is probably the main organ of digestion. When people die of pancreatic cancer, they usually die of malnutrition because they haven't got the final breakdown of their food, so their food can't get out of their gastrointestinal tract and into their blood, so they basically die of malnutrition. The pancreas also releases 2 hormones from the blood, and this is glycogen and insulin. Now those hormones are released into the blood, and they're the ones that control our blood glucose levels. If they go too high, insulin gets it down. If they go too low, glycogen gets it up. These hormones are constantly balancing the glucose levels in our blood. Very important organ is the pancreas. All of these hormones and these ones here are made from water. So a person can develop diabetes, digestive problems, all because they're dehydrated. Let's move on down to the colon. One of the main functions of the colon is to take water out so stools are formed. If the body is dehydrated, more water gets taken out than should be taken out, then we get rabbit pellets, cement, basically there's constipation. Very difficult to have 3 evacuations a day, which Dr. Kellogg said is a necessity if you're having 3 intakes a day in a dehydrated person. Dr. B also showed that dehydration is felt in the brain. Our brain is a hydroelectric system. No hydro, no electricity. A person can suffer from depression, negative thought patterns, because they're dehydrated. Something else happens in dehydration with the brain, and that is the brain cells shrink. And when the brain cells shrink, that hurts. It hurts very much. When I say to people, do you get headaches? A common answer is, oh, only if I'm dehydrated. Dehydration is also felt in the lungs. Here are the little bronchioles. At the end of each bronchiole, there are alveoli, and they look like a little bunch of grapes. And that alveoli is where that gaseous exchange takes place. So when we breathe in, they fill up with oxygen. And over those little alveoli are a little capillary network. And what the blood does is it picks up the oxygen and drops the carbon dioxide, then we breathe it out. It's a fascinating system. And Gray's Anatomy says we have 300 million of these. But in each little alveoli, there's a droplet of water. And because of the surface tension of water, do you understand the surface tension of water? When I trained as a hairdresser, I had to learn about surface tension of water. When you put water on your scalp, it doesn't really get through because of the oil. You put shampoo on, it breaks the surface tension of water, and of course it can get through. Because of the surface tension of water, and this little minuscule droplet of water in the alveoli, when you breathe out, the majority of your carbon dioxide is breathed out, and so you can get a full quota of oxygen back in. In dehydration, we don't have that little bit of water, so when the person breathes out, they can't breathe out all their carbon dioxide, so that when they breathe in, they're not getting as much oxygen as they could be getting. So here's another point with the most vital element needed for life, we need to be well hydrated to be able to get that oxygen. And we need to be having the proper salt and all of its minerals for the cell to utilise that water. So you can see they all interact with each other. We need all of them. I had a man do our program, it's a few years ago now, he's 44, and he had 3 main problems. He had a very congested chest. You see, in dehydration, to try and conserve the water loss with each breath, the little bronchioles shrink up. He had chronic headaches. You see, the cells shrink when we're dehydrated. And he had lower back pain. Did you know that 75% of our upper body weight is held in our lower back by water? So in a dehydrated body, there's not as much water there that should be there, and the back hurts. The lower back gets painful. So he had these 3 main problems. I said to him, how much water do you drink a day? He said, I don't drink water. I said, no water? He said, no, I don't drink any water. He said, I don't like it. He said, I have a lot of headache tablets and I drink it down with Coke and cups of tea and coffee. Aha. And he was living on the pills because he had so much pain here, he had so much congestion here, and he'd have antibiotic after antibiotic. Do you know, on last night on the news, 7:30 report stated that because of a little boy who nearly died from too many antibiotics, they're saying now doctors must stop prescribing so many antibiotics. It said last night on the news that Australia is the highest user of antibiotics of any country in the world. Isn't that incredible? Can you see what's the use of the antibiotic if this man's remaining dehydrated? That's why the detective hat has to be put on. Why are these things so? I said, no water? He said, no water. I said, As he went through the program, he started drinking more water. He started to drink almost a litre a day. Now, the student might say to me, no, Barbara, he's supposed to drink at least 2, maybe 2.5 litres a day. I said, it's pretty good. Yesterday it was none. Build it up, little by little, build it up. By the end of the week, he was drinking 2 litres of water. He said, this is amazing. He said, I haven't had headaches for 2 days. He said, first time since I can remember. He said, my chest is getting a lot looser. And he said, my lower back pain is gone. Whoa. What was his problem? It was dehydration. You'll never look at water the same again, will you?